Hey guys, so today I want to do another ranking video, and this one will be based on all the different PlayStation 1 or PS1 RPGs that I played on my channel. I'll be doing a top 30. I've actually played more than 30 PS1 RPGs on my channel. There's just so many great RPGs for PS1. It's one of my S tier consoles for RPGs, or just in general actually, but for RPGs especially, like PS1, Super Nintendo, Nintendo Switch. These are my three top consoles if you want the widest variety of JRPGs. Yeah, there's just so much good stuff here. So yeah, I'll be doing top 30, and yeah, for these PS1 games, pretty much all going to be Japanese. I mean, there's only one Western RPG I played on PS1 on my channel, which is Diablo. That's pretty much it. So yeah, I'll just make it all Japanese. And one other thing I'll have to note is that not all these games I'll be showing, like all the footage you'll be seeing in this video are from my playthroughs on YouTube. However, not all of them are going to be from the PS1 version, because I'm not going to be playing the same game multiple times on different platforms, really. Because yeah, if they don't differ that much, right? I only play them on different platforms on my channel if they differ a lot. But if they don't differ that much, like for example, Grandia, I have Grandia on my list here, but that was originally released for PS1, but I play it on PC, like the HD version on PC in my channel. So I'll be just showing off the HD version on PC here. Same thing with Star Ocean 2. Didn't play the original Star Ocean 2 on PS1 on my channel. I played the PSP version, and I'll be showing the PSP version instead. Chrono Cross, same thing. I just play the HD version on my channel, but it was originally released for PS1. So I think it still counts though, because those are still PS1 RPGs. Like when they originally released for the PS1, it's just that I played a later version. So I'll just be showing the footage from the version I played on my channel instead. Okay, so that's the one caveat.
Because you say.
All right, so as always, I like to put an honorable mention before I go into my ranking. And yeah, my honorable mention for PS1 RPGs will go to Kodelka. Yeah, this is a game that I think I have kind of mixed feelings about, because yeah, on the surface is not really like a great RPG, let's just say. Definitely slow paced. The control and movement is a lot like Alone in the Dark in a way. So it's not really great, but at the same time, it's not bad. You know, like this is the combat system. You actually have to move your character in a grid to attack, kind of like a tactical RPG. You have to be able to get close to attack. Of course, using early 3D. This is PS1 era, of course. But you know what? I actually enjoyed this a little bit more than Parasite Eve. I know a lot of people love Parasite Eve.
Flipped it upside down.
I actually enjoyed Kodelka a little bit more, to be honest. I don't know. Maybe just the characters and the combat. I liked it a little bit better. It sucked me in a bit more. I know it's like objectively, it's not like really great or anything like that. But still, I know the controls and everything can be frustrating because controls like tank controls basically. But it has that that Alone in the Dark vibe. It has that charm to it, and yeah, for that reason I still kind of like it. So anyways, didn't quite make my top 30 here PS1 RPGs, but I think it still deserves to be mentioned, and really kind of it's an overlooked game. I mean, how many people talk about Kodelka, right? I mean, sure, Parasite Eve, people talk about that, but Kodelka, I don't really hear anyone talk about Kodelka. And I think it does deserve a little bit more love and appreciation, you know? Which I always love to show some of the games that I feel like I underrated a little bit more.
That is huge.
Oh my god, look at this. Yeah, monster design and everything. Yeah, it's pretty out there, like still as creepy as any other Japanese horror game, really.
Numbers. Did I just kill it?
I think more people deserve to know. Play a bit of Kodelka, actually. No, it's not a perfect RPG, but still, I think deserves its time in the sun. Yeah, I think more people deserve to know about it. So, anyways, have to mention it. Alright, so number 30 on my list is Super Robot Wars Alpha Gaiden, which came out in 2002 for the PS1. Yeah, this one came out in Japan only, and you'll find that some games on this list are Japan only, but not like a lot. It's not like the Super Nintendo era where you have like a lot of JRPGs that were released in Japan only. By the PS1 era, you had more games that were translated officially. So anyways, this is one of the Japan only ones, part of the Super Robot Wars series. And yeah, in this series, like in general, like Super Robot Wars, like I think all the games are pretty good. Like I wouldn't say like any of them are like really amazing that, you know, you have to play or else you don't get to experience the best JRPGs. No, like they're all pretty good. none of them are like up to the same level as say like a Fire Emblem Awakening or something like that. But I tend to think of them as Fire Emblem combined with Gundam and other mecha. So basically, if you guys like Fire Emblem and you guys like Gundams and other mecha, then yeah, you'll like this game. And in general, they're a good series for for tactical RPGs, just involving mechs and stuff. And I like the fact that you do get like a story with it, right? So you get a little bit of visual novel stuff going on here, but so you get a decent story, and you get characters from all across the different mech universes here. So you got different Mobile Suit pilots from all the different kinds of Mobile Suit franchises, and then you have the cool battle animations as well when you go into combat. So that's pretty cool. But Super Robot Wars Alpha Gaiden is not one of my favorites in the series. It's pretty good, but it's not like I have better ones I like in the series, I would say. But just like all the other Super Robot Wars, like they're all pretty decent. So anyways, this one comes up at number 30 on my list. If you guys are looking for a nice tactical RPG, like kind of Fire Emblem combined with Gundam, then go check it out. And yes, there's a fan translation online, obviously. All the games I'm playing on my channel have at least fan translations and stuff. Okay, so number 29 is Turing Saga. This is another Japan-only release. Never came to the West. However, you can find a fan translation for it, just like all the other Japan-only games on this list. Came out in 2001 for the PS1. It pretty much is Fire Emblem because it's made by the same original developer of Fire Emblem, actually. After the original developers of the SNES Fire Emblem games, actually the Nintendo and SNES Fire Emblem games, he kind of left the team after the Super Nintendo games, and then he made Turing Saga, which in fact was so close to Fire Emblem, I think that Nintendo filed a lawsuit over it. But eventually, you know, they were still allowed to sell it and stuff, so, you know, they ended up winning that lawsuit. I don't think there's other games in this series, but pretty much if you played Fire Emblem, then you played Turing Saga. But I'm gonna put Turing Saga on this list because obviously, like on PlayStation, you don't have any Fire Emblem games. That's a Nintendo property, right? So Turing Saga is kind of like a nice alternative to Fire Emblem if you're not playing the Nintendo system, right? So I mean, clearly like Path of Radiance is the better game, but that's on GameCube, right? But yeah, I mean, I would say as far as a Fire Emblem clone goes, you can't do better than just getting the original developer of the Fire Emblem games, right? So anyways, I would say I still prefer Fire Emblem, of course. I think the classic, the Super Nintendo Fire Emblem games were, well, I like two out of those three, but they're pretty good. Genealogy of the Holy War, Thracia 776 especially, I like those. And just to have the same developers make like a different kind of, like pretty much a Fire Emblem game for the PlayStation, that's pretty cool. And you have pretty much all the same, like you guys are used to Fire Emblem, right? It's a tactical RPG, kind of from a top-down perspective, and then you have the battle animations and stuff like that. The support between the different characters, storyline and stuff, it's all here. So yeah, while I would say that Turing Saga is not quite as strong as the best Fire Emblem games, it's still a pretty decent pretty decent tactical RPG. And especially if you're a fan of Fire Emblem, it's worth checking out. So anyways, Turing Saga, number 29 on my list. Alright, so number 28 on my list is Langrisser 4, which is another Fire Emblem-like game. I know, I just put all these games, I kind of grouped them all together, because they're all pretty much the same tier for me. Like Super Robot Wars, Turing Saga, Langrisser. They're all like fairly like similar in gameplay, and all of them are, you know, pretty much on the same tier for me. They're all pretty good. Like, they're not like all-time great, but they're all just pretty good. So Langrisser 4 came out in 1999. Again, Japan only, but you can find a fan translation online. Most of the Langrisser games were Japan only. I think in the West, we didn't get a proper Langrisser game until Growlancer came over. And Growlancer is kind of like a continuation of the Langrisser series. And then Langrisser 1 and 2 got the remake, which we did get in the West. But yeah, Langrisser 4 still has not been officially released in the West. However, you can definitely still pick it up, play it for the fan translated version. The PS1 here came out in 1999. Pretty much, if you are familiar with Fire Emblem, then you know how to play Langrisser and Growlancer, by the way, as well. Because, yeah, it's fairly similar. Your top-down tactical RPG, you have some support conversations, You know, yeah, war stuff going on, political stuff going on, as you get Fire Emblem games as well. So pretty much, if you guys play Fire Emblem, you play Langrisser. But it's also worth a pickup. And while I haven't played all the Langrisser games, I played the 1 and 2 remake versions, and I played 4. I haven't played 3. Yeah, like, I would say, yeah, if you guys are just into like, yeah, Fire Emblem, this kind of games, then pick it up. I think it's pretty similar on the same level as Tearing Saga, which I already mentioned. The attack animations are a little bit different. They're not quite as detailed or like as the sprites in Tearing Saga, but you know, they still got more of a these sprites have more of a classic like Super Nintendo type style compared to the Tearing Saga game that you guys just saw. So anyways, all I'm gonna say is if you guys like Fire Emblem, check out Langrisser too. So Langrisser 4. Alright, so number 27 on my list is going to be Ogre Battle Limited Edition. So this is a port of the original Ogre Battle for Super Nintendo for PS1 with some like added enhancements and stuff. But this is the version I played. I didn't play the Super Nintendo version on my channel. I played the PS1 version. And it's pretty good. I mean, I like the fact that it's a bit different than the other games that I mentioned so far. So it is still like a tactical strategy game. But yeah, it's a little bit different. It's not like the straight up Fire Emblem style, where you have the overhead view and you move your characters and stuff like that. Instead, what you gotta do is you gotta take different armies and then you gotta send them to different cities and stuff. And then when you do battle, it's not even that you fight to the death. It's like you have a few turns basically to do some damage on them. And I played Ogre Battle 64 too. Ogre Battle 64 is the Nintendo 64 version, but I prefer the PS1 version, I think. So yeah, to me, this is the version I know there's a Saturn version too, but anyways, this is the version I played. And I like the fact that it's Ogre Battle has its own unique style. I would say that man, what's the other game I played that similar to this? It was like Master of Monsters or something like that. Yeah, Master of Monsters. I think that's the only other game I played, which was also for PS1, but I think I like Ogre Battle a little bit better. And then, of course, there's Unicorn Overlord, which came out recently in the past year, which was inspired by Ogre Battle. But it's just a unique gameplay style. You move around your different armies, right? You try to fortify your armies and stuff like that. And then when you do battle, it's like this, yeah, it's like this isometric perspective.
There we go.
And then you don't even like necessarily have to kill them. You just have to do a certain amount of like damage in a certain amount of turns. So yeah, it's just a kind of a unique gameplay for the time. So a pretty solid game. Ogre Battle.
The Shadow type.
All right, number 26 is Cardia World of Fate.
Okay.
Word of Fate. Sorry, came out in 1998 for PS1. And this game tends to be a bit overlooked. I think not many people talk about it, but it is an interesting tactical RPG as well.
Yeah, the rock, paper, scissors style.
Yeah, I would say the story is just okay. Actually, the character design, I believe, the character design is made by the same character designer as the Final Fantasy series. So if the character design looks similar to something you might have seen in FF6, then that's because, yeah, it's the same character designers, same art designer. So I would say that alone makes it kind of unique. But also, yeah, the battle systems is like your tactical system. Like you control some creatures and stuff like that, like dolls, I think they're called.
Common miles.
Or dolls or puppets or something like that.
Phantoms like.
Anyways, yeah, you have these creatures that you control.
Phantom.
So the gameplay is kind of interesting as well.
Here?
So yeah, again, this game Cardia is not really talked about. I think it's kind of overlooked, but I think it's still an interesting game. I'm not going to say that it's like again, not an all-time game that you need to play or anything like that, but it's just an interesting one. So I would say that if you're interested in yeah, Tactics Ogre, Final Fantasy Tactics, that kind of style, obviously not as good as those games, but you do have the Final Fantasy style character art design, so yeah, it's definitely worth trying out. So anyways, Cardia Word of Fate on number 26. Right, number 25 on my list is Vanguard Bandits, another tactical RPG, so let's just keep going with the tactical stuff. This one I like because, well, you get to control mechs.
Bandits.
So It's a little bit
Bandits,
similar
these guys are
to
just gonna be
Super Robot
fodder.
Wars in that sense, but of course it's a completely different setting than Super Robot Wars. And then when you fight, it's like this. It's like this the 3D polygonal style. So it's almost like a fighting game when you get into a fight. So yeah, I would say Vanguard Bandits tends to be kind of overlooked and underrated, just like Cardia. But I like it a little bit better in Cardia though. You get to control mechs and stuff. Decent story, decent characters. Again, not like a must play, but it's still a good one to try. So yeah, if you guys like the this is the isometric style, so if you guys like the isometric tactical style, then yeah, just check it out. And then you have the one-on-one fighting that kind of looks like a fighting game when you go into combat there, which is also pretty interesting. So I think Vanguard Bandits is pretty interesting. It's kind of unique in that sense. So yeah, it's almost like
Oh, there's Sadira, the princess.
they must have taken some inspiration from Super Robot Wars. But yeah, you have this one-on-one kind of 3D fighting style when you go into combat. And then, yeah, otherwise it's a mech tactical RPG. So, pretty interesting.
Sadira,
And,
the
oh yeah, it was
princess.
released in 2000. Yeah. Alright, so number 24 is Vandal Hearts 2, which was released in 1999. And this one seems to, like, it's again another one of those tactical RPGs for the PS1 that I think probably deserves a little bit more attention. But yeah, I think the people who have played Vandal Hearts 2 do have fond memories of it. It's got a pretty
it's like
decent
we take a
story
turn, they
and
also take a turn
charming
on
characters
forward.
and everything.
Interesting.
In terms of the actual style
That's
in
different.
combat, is not quite as like unique, I would say, as Vanguard Bandits. But you could say that overall it's a more charming game, and maybe
it's like we take
the
a
characters
turn
are a bit
and
more
they
interesting.
react to our
Story's a little bit better constructed. But I would say Vandal Hearts 2 and Vanguard Bandits are pretty much on the same tier for me. But yeah, a lot of people like Vandal Hearts 2 more. But yeah, overall, yeah, it's got charming characters, charming story, and the gameplay is your classic tactical RPG style that you would be pretty used to if you play Final Fantasy Tactics or Tactics Ogre. Also, I like the fact that the portraits are done in this kind of more realistic style as well. You don't see that too often. It's not really done in your typical anime style. The portraits are done in a more like realistic style. So that's kind of interesting as well. But yeah, if you guys like the Final Fantasy Tactics style, then basically you'd be right at home with Vandal Hearts 2. And it's worth to pick up. So yeah, again, another tactical RPG. I think it's some of these battles, yeah, they can go on for a while, but that's just typical for
Okay, so it's like
tactical
turn-based,
RPGs. So, anyways,
move at the
the
same
worthy
time.
pickup for the tactical RPG for the PS1. Number 23 is Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together. And yeah, this is a pretty classic tactical RPG. And I think if people are familiar with tactical RPGs on the PS1, they probably know Final Fantasy Tactics and they would know Tactics Ogre. These are like two of the most famous ones. For me, the thing about Tactics Ogre is I always felt like, maybe because I played Final Fantasy Tactics first and because I'm more interested in the Final Fantasy world, maybe that's why Tactics Ogre doesn't appeal to me as much, but it's pretty much the same gameplay. Like, if I play FF Tactics and I play Tactics Ogre, it's pretty similar. Yeah, gameplay-wise, like, pretty similar. It's just that Final Fantasy Tactics, because it's in the Final Fantasy Tactics world, that makes me more invested in it, I guess. But otherwise, Tactics Ogre is a solid game. You know, this came out in 1998. Very solid game. It just didn't get me quite as interested as FF Tactics, maybe because I'm more into the Final Fantasy world, I guess. But gameplay-wise, they're pretty similar. Some people say that Tactics Ogre is a bit tougher, but yeah, gameplay-wise, pretty similar. Like, you got this your standard isometric tactical RPG style. You have different job classes and everything, and overall, if you've played FF Tactics, you play Tactics Ogre. I mean, or if you play Tactics Ogre, you'll know how to play FF Tactics. Yeah, they're pretty similar. It's just that Tactics Ogre doesn't. I don't feel as invested into the characters and story just because like it's not as. I mean, it's still good. You know, characters and story are still good in Tactics Ogre. I'm not saying like, you know, they're actually a clear step above the Tactics RPGs that I listed in the beginning. It's just that yeah, I just feel more invested in the Final Fantasy world. All right, but Tactics Ogre still makes my list because it's still a good game. Gameplay wise, you know, very polished, still a very good game in terms of being a tactical RPG. One of the best on the system. So yeah, I don't have too many issues with the gameplay. It's your classic Final Fantasy Tactics type. Actually, I think Tactics Ogre might have come up first, but anyways. All right, number 22 is Persona 2 Eternal Punishment, which is the second Persona 2 game in the PS1 series. Actually, there's two Persona 2 games. I know it's a bit confusing. With the Persona series, I think everyone's familiar with Persona now if you're into JRPGs because it got so famous, but Persona 2 is an interesting case because there really is two games in the series. There's Innocent Sin and there's Eternal Punishment. Eternal Punishment is actually the sequel, but they're both labeled Persona 2. Like, yeah, I guess because they're using the same engine and everything, so it's still labeled Persona 2, but it's actually a sequel. But yeah, this came out in 2000, PS1. Both of these games were Japan only. I think they only came out to US later on the PSP and stuff. But you can pick up like fan translations and stuff. But yeah, Persona 2 is quite, I would say, quite different than Persona 3 in the later games. It's more like, you see more of the Shin Megami Tensei roots, I would say, with Persona 1 and 2. And I prefer Persona 2 to Persona 1. But yeah, they're both like, if you guys have played Shin Megami Tensei, it's definitely closer to the roots. Persona eventually became its own thing. Like Persona 3 onwards, I would say, are quite different than Shin Megami Tensei. Even though the monsters and yeah, like the monster design, I guess you can see parallels with Shin Megami Tensei. But gameplay-wise, I do think that Persona 1 and 2 are pretty close to Shin Megami Tensei series. Like more pure dungeon crawler, I would say. Yeah. So it's like the Shin Megami Tensei series are pretty much dungeon crawler RPGs, but then Persona 1 and 2 lean more towards that, but just with more social aspects. And then later on with Persona 3, 4, and 5, the social aspects become more and more. And then it becomes more fancier because they have higher production values and stuff. But I would say at this point, Persona 1 and 2, it doesn't lean quite as much on the social aspects as it does in the later games. And it's probably more leaning towards the dungeon crawler aspects. But still a good game, you know? Like if you guys haven't tried Persona 2, I think they're still good games. Just a different, a little bit of a different vibe than Persona 3, 4, and 5. But both the Persona 2 games are good. Just, yeah, I choose Eternal Punishment. This one is a sequel after all. But you're pretty much, yeah, running through the classroom setting, which is classic for a Persona game. You always have the classroom setting. But leans a little bit more heavily towards the dungeon crawler vibe, I would say. Yeah. 21 is Popo La Croix Story 2, which came out in 2000. This is another Japan-only one. It actually did not come out later for the West until the PSP version, which is actually a condensed version of the first two Popo La Croix story games. Basically, you play as this little prince, this little small prince boy, and it's really charming. Like the graphics remind me of the graphics are very charming. It reminds me of Saga Frontier 2. I think is the game it reminds me of the most on PS1 in terms of graphics. But it's got a pretty charming story, and it's got this like I want to say Ghibli vibe to it. Like if you guys want to think of the whimsical fantasy vibe, the Ghibli vibe, Studio Ghibli vibe, it has those vibes to it. So it's got that charm to it. Yeah, like the graphics, right? Just look at the graphics, so charming. And even the monster, the combat. So what I like about the combat is like, okay, you run into a monster and then it just drops down from the sky just like that.
Acorn, one acorn.
So it's your classic turn-based one, but it's also it just drops down from the sky. Isometric style combat. Nice music and everything. I do think that the PS1 versions, like if you guys can just play the fan translated PS1 versions, play both of them because it's better than the condensed version that you get on PSP later. I know people, if they're familiar with Popo La Croix, probably the PSP version is the one they're familiar with because that one came out of the West. But yeah, like it's a condensed version. So basically, just play the first two games.
That was the test, right?
On PS1. It's a more expanded version.
The rights,
essentially. And yeah, so it's a great game. What can I say? That's why it makes this list. So if you guys haven't checked it out, check it out. Popo La Croix Story 2. In terms of the vibe here, very charming. All right, so number 20, we're going to continue with the tactical RPGs here. Sayuki Journey West. This is pretty unique because it's based on the Chinese ancient novel Journey to the West, which I think more people would know about now because of Black Myth Wukong. But yes, in this game you do get to play as Sun Wukong, otherwise known in Japanese as Son Goku. People might know in Dragon Ball, right? Based off of Journey to the West. So yeah, it's based on the Chinese folklore thing. And it's cool to have like a Journey to the West tactical RPG. You know, why not? The characters can change into different forms, like Sun Wukong, you can weird change, and then if you guys can see here, yep, he turns, he turns into well, a giant. So gameplay-wise, there is something unique, right? First, it's in the Chinese folk setting, which is something you don't see too often, and then yeah, you get to do that weird change stuff, which some characters have. So yeah, I think it's a cool game. Again, I didn't know that this game like existed until like a year ago. Like someone told me about it. But once I played it, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And when people don't talk about it, it was officially released in the West. I just didn't hear many people talk about it. So, anyways, it's a nice game. Gameplay-wise, it's pretty typical, your standard isometric style. If you guys are familiar with the ancient Chinese novel Journey to the West, then yeah, you'll like this game. And if you guys are familiar with Final Fantasy Tactics or Tactics Ogre, then it's your standard tactical style, isometric tactical style RPG here. But yeah, overall I like it more actually because it's based on the Journey to the West stuff, which you don't have too many games actually based on the Chinese mythology stuff. So it's cool to have one like this. Yeah, if you guys like tactical RPGs and also Chinese folklore, definitely check this one out. I think it's pretty solid. Even if you don't, it's a pretty solid tactical RPG nonetheless. Just people don't talk enough about it, I don't think. So that now people know too much about this game. Like nowadays people know more because of Black Myth Wukong, but I think it deserved a little bit more love before too. And oh yeah, 2001 is when it originally came out for in North America. Alright, so number 19 is Grandia, which originally came out in 1999 for the PS1. I'm playing the HD version here, so you guys might notice the graphics are a little bit upscaled. It's because I'm on my channel I played the HD version on PC. However, I'm still going to list it in this list because it was originally a PS1 game and a pretty good one. So people do like Grandia a lot. I think I still might prefer Grandia 2 a little bit, but they're both pretty good. I would say they're both definitely on the same tier. It's just a matter of preference. Do you like Grandia 1 or Grandia 2? They're both good games, good RPGs, pretty much on the same tier. I might prefer Grandia 2 a little bit more. But yeah, it's pretty solid. I mean, nice characters, pretty decent story. Yeah, in terms of the aesthetics, fairly charming, I would say. Now again, I did not play the original version. I'm playing this upscaled HD version. It definitely looks, you know, smoother and sharper here. But I can imagine the original looking pretty colorful too. So a very colorful looking game. Yeah, and this is the combat style here, which is like kind of reminds me of Tales games, I guess, in a way, because it's turn-based, but it's also like, yeah, it's also this active wait battle time system. It's kind of like how Tales does it. So kind of reminds me of a Tales game. But yeah, overall solid RPG. Just gonna put on my list in the top 20 here. Not my, yeah, I'm just gonna say it's not like a top 10 thing for me, but definitely a top 20 RPG for me for the PS1. So number 18 is Saga Frontier 2, which came out in 2000 for the PS1, and this is quite a bit different, I think, gameplay-wise than the first game. Aesthetically, it's quite different too. I mean, it's a beautiful looking game. Like I said, the other game that reminds me of this art style is probably Popol Vuh. But I don't know many other RPGs that has this art style. It's a really charming art style to me. So, yeah, I like it better than the first Saga Frontier game. The first Saga Frontier game was remastered. I don't think the second one was. And I only played the remastered version of the first one. But I like this one better than the first one. I wish this one would get a remaster too. But yeah, I love the art style. It's just so charming.
Okay, finally can move around.
Right? Seems like you're.
Right.
It's almost like you're playing
here.
like this children's storybook almost. It's got that type of art style to it. But yeah, it's got a very charming art style, and charming characters, charming story, and let's see, the combat system is your typical turn-based combat system like this, which again, going back to the
well, it's not exactly the
aesthetic
same,
again,
but actually
what
kind of
might remind me of the
Xenogears,
Studio Ghibli stuff again.
the combat system in that game, although it doesn't have the combo stuff.
So
that Xenogears.
which
I mean,
I bring Studio Ghibli up not only because of the art style, but because I played Ni no Kuni, which also reminds me of that combat system as well, and also Popol Vuh. I think that Popol Vuh, the combat system and the art style are both actually fairly similar. Saga Frontier 2, but I do like Saga Frontier 2 maybe just a little bit better, but both of them are great games, so that's why they're on my list in this video here. So anyways, quite different than the first Saga Frontier game, I would say, in terms of the art style and gameplay, but I like the second one better. So anyways, it's on my list here, number 18. Alright, number 17 is a game I've actually talked a lot about how underrated it is. It's Azure Dreams, which came out in 1998. It's a Konami game. Yeah, like, I think it deserves to be talked about more. Like, this is a game, you know, officially came to the West and everything. It's not even that it was Japan only. But I admire the fact that this game tries to do so much. Like, so this game is a combination of a few different genres. It's a combination of a city builder, a dungeon crawler, and dating sim. And a monster raiser, like, all in the same game. Like, you're combining all those aspects into one game, which is pretty impressive. I wouldn't say like it's the best at any of those things, but just the fact that it was so bold, you know. it's very unique in that sense that it tries to combine so many different aspects of gameplay together. So yeah, I mean, you can date girls in this game, you can build up your own like home base and city, and you get to raise your monsters, and you get to go into this tower, and it becomes like a dungeon crawler, Shiren style, I guess, or mystery dungeon style. Yeah. Anyways, I just find this game pretty unique, and I don't know many other games that would combine these type of things together. So I just have to appreciate it just for what it is. It may not be the best at any of those things, but the fact is, it's decent, you know. It's not like it's a mess either. It's actually pretty decent at those things. So yeah, there's a dungeon crawling section, which is an action RPG type thing. Well, I wouldn't say it's not an action RPG. It's just a dungeon crawler type, which means that you take your turn, and the enemies take their turn. So it's turn-based, but in a dungeon crawler sense, right? If you guys have played dungeon crawlers, like Mystery Dungeon is probably the most. Is the one I think about when I think about Japanese dungeon crawlers. Mystery Dungeon, Sorcery Saga, those types of games, or Etrian Odyssey would be like a new reference. But yeah, if you guys are familiar with dungeon crawlers, then the combat is basically like in a dungeon crawler, right? It's like you move a step, the enemies move a step. So it's turn-based, but at the same time, it's not like you go into a separate combat screen, because you don't. But yeah, just love how it combines so many different genres together. The audacity of this game to do so much, and it's therefore pretty underrated in my opinion. Anyways, Azure Dreams, yeah, came out in '98, and yeah, I think I definitely recommend checking this game out if you guys are looking for something a little bit more unique on the PS1. Alright, number 16 is Thousand Arms, which, like Azure Dreams, I also find this game kind of underrated and also unique. So it's, in many ways, it is your typical JRPG, but it also has dating sim aspects in it as well, and I just find it pretty unique when you put that together. It's like you have Japanese RPGs with dating sim aspects. Oh, like Sakura Wars is another one I can talk about, although that wasn't on PS1. But yeah, actually, no, Sakura Wars is on PS1 maybe. I just didn't get I don't think there's a fan translation. I just played the Saturn version. Anyways, Thousand Arms, this was officially released in the West, and that the main character is like, he loves women, and his dad loves women, so he's like a philanderer, I guess you would call him.
What a babe!
Yeah, like you have like these kind of dating sim aspects in this game, and then you have dialogue options like you would have in a visual novel or dating sim. So that's pretty unique actually. So see a babe, charm her. Yeah.
You sad. Smile. I'm here with you.
Help me then!
Oh my god. And then you have some humor in this game as well. So And then I like the fact that they
Sedina.
like
It's
when
a
the
pleasure
characters
to
come
meet you.
close and you get this like this portrait.
After
It's
you
like
fainted,
an
my
anime
brother
style.
Jabil drove the gang away.
They become so much more detailed. Like
Jabil is a spirit
that's pretty cool,
blacksmith,
right?
and he is well
It's like
known
on
in
the
Boise.
screen they're just normal sprites, but then when you talk to some of these girls close up, you get the full anime portrait, and that's really cool. So, anyways, in many ways, yeah, like the actual gameplay is kind of similar to your typical RPG, right? And then you have your turn-based combat here from the side, so that's all pretty normal stuff. The art style is almost kind of crude, but it's the fact that you have the dating sim aspects that combined with it kind of makes you unique too. So it does remind me of Sakura Wars in that aspect, although Sakura Wars also is a tactical mech game as well. But anyways, Thousand Arms, still one of my favorite games on the system, really unique and cool. Love the fact that it combined dating sim aspects with this RPG. Alright, number 15 is Legend of Legaia, which came out in 1999. And I think everyone who played Legend of Legaia always has it in the top tier of JRPGs for the PS1. And by the way, there are some fan favorites that are not going to be in this list. So I'm sorry if you guys don't hear Vagrant Story or Legend of Dragoon or Wild Arms or those kind of like whatever your favorite PS1 RPG that wasn't mentioned in this video, because like it's my list. So yeah, I just happen not to like those RPGs as much as the ones I put on this list. But anyways, Legend of Legaia is cool. The graphics and everything definitely looks a little bit dated because it's a 3D, you know, it's a 3D game for the PS1. So like 3D games just really haven't aged as well from that time period. But overall, I do like it. Like the story, the characters, and everything. What especially I think is memorable, Legend of Legaia to me, is the combat system. So yes, the story is cool and everything, and by the way, I don't like Jade Cocoon. Some people mention Jade Cocoon too. Now, this Legend of Legaia is way better than Jade Cocoon, in my opinion. But the yeah, this combat system, it's like almost like a fighting game, right? It's like when you you have like different combos and stuff that you can do, and that's unique. I don't know any other JRPG from this time where you basically have like a fighting game when you go into the combat system. Like Xenogears probably comes the closest, but that's not really the same. Like you do have combos, but yeah, you actually like it's almost like a fighting game when you go into the combat system here, and it's pretty unique, right? It's like, hey, I get to play like Tekken at the same time, and it's like a JRPG. It's like a JRPG version of Tekken, you know? Like, how cool is that? I know Legend of Legaia had sequels, but everyone says the sequels are not good, so I didn't play them. The original Legend of Legaia is still the best, and yeah, it's fondly remembered by many people.
This game does it in a more Virtua Fighter.
Very, yeah, it's like Virtua Fighter or Tekken, but it's an RPG. So it's so cool, right? Like this combat system is just really good. You have all these combos and stuff, and you just don't see that in like many RPGs. So, anyways, Legend of Legaia has to make my list here. All right, number 14 is Final Fantasy VII, which came out in 1997. Yeah, so many people might be wondering, wow, Final Fantasy VII is this low on your list, huh? So to many people, I've always thought this because I played so many JRPGs. I've always thought Final Fantasy VII was overrated. Like a lot of people say, oh, it's the greatest JRPG ever, and like no, like I played enough JRPGs where it's like I can't put Final Fantasy VII in like a great tier. Like I understand it's very influential and probably the single, I would say the JRPG that single-handedly, not single-handedly, but pretty much single-handedly like made JRPGs popular in the West. Because in the Super Nintendo era, a lot of JRPGs like were just not brought over because they weren't that popular in the West. Sure, there's Super Mario RPG and stuff, but Final Fantasy VII is the one that really opened up the gates, right, to JRPGs, and that's why in the PS1 era you have more and more officially translated RPGs then. But I'm not going to say that it's like it's in my top 20. Sure, it's a great game, but I don't really have my top 10 actually. Like there are games I liked more in my top 10, and that's okay. This is my list, you know. It's my personal opinion, subjectively, right? Other people have Final Fantasy VII in their, you know, their number 1 spot or number 5 spot, or like in top 5, whatever. That's fine. This is my list, right? It's just not in my top 10 because I didn't enjoy it as much as the other games in my top 10. So I do like Final Fantasy VII. So I'm not saying it's not. It's definitely a great game. It's got a very memorable story, memorable characters. I don't think it's like even the best Final Fantasy game on the system, but it's it's still solid, right? It's still, you have your standard, like, everything people know about Final Fantasy VII is like, that's what they know from JRPGs, the turn-based combat and everything. Yeah, I mean, overall, very solid, and visuals I think were pretty good for the time. Nowadays it looks pretty aged. Visuals don't look good, of course, we're comparing to modern times, but for the time the visuals are considered pretty top class. So yeah, you got like a lot of very memorable iconic characters like Cloud Strife and Tifa Lockhart and Aerith Gainsborough. Yeah, these are all very iconic characters. But it's just that when I play Final Fantasy VII, it's like, yeah, this game is good, but there's other games I just enjoyed playing more, you know. So that's why Final Fantasy VII is going to be my top 15, but it's not in my top 10 because it just, you know, it's not a game I would replay over actually, to be honest. It's a good game, just I wouldn't replay it over as much as the other games in my top 10. So, anyways, Final Fantasy VII makes this list only at 14. So number 13 is Chrono Cross. And this is actually the HD remastered version I'm playing right now for PC, but it originally came out for the PlayStation 1 back in 2000, and supposedly this is like a spiritual successor to Chrono Trigger. I don't think it's as good as Chrono Trigger, but I mean, what is? But Chrono Cross is still a good game. Like, despite the fact that people, like, it gets a lot of criticism, I think, probably deservedly, for not being very tied to Chrono Trigger. Like, it is kind of tied to Chrono Trigger, especially if you've read or played Radical Dreamers.
Nothing in here.
But because it's not like really closely tied to Chrono Trigger, I think that's where a lot of criticism comes from. But if you evaluate it just like purely as a solid RPG on the PS1, then that's what it is. It's a very good RPG. I wish it wasn't tied to Chrono Trigger, and I don't think it should be, but because it's a pretty different game. Like, you can recruit so many characters in Chrono Cross, it's almost like a Saga game. You know, reminds me of a Saga game, you kind of recruit so many, and Suikoden too. Like, the fact that you can recruit so many characters.
Yeah, how am I supposed to get that?
But I think it should be evaluated as its own game. If you just separate the Chrono Trigger stuff from it, and just evaluate it just standalone, it's a very solid RPG. Yeah, definitely deserving of a top 15.
Thank me.
Great story, great characters. You still have the time travel stuff, right? So, anyways, yeah, so this is the HD version. If you guys think the visuals are touched up and sharpened a bit, that's because, yeah, it's on the PC here. But overall, very good RPG, and I recommend it. It's definitely one of the standout RPGs of the system, and yeah, that's where I have it here, number 15. Also, a lot of people say that Chrono Cross has the better background music. I think it's pretty comparable. I think Chrono Trigger has amazing background music, an amazing soundtrack, I mean, OST. I think Chrono Cross also has an amazing OST. It's really up to preference, but it's already a huge compliment to Chrono Cross, the fact that it can even compete with Chrono Trigger when it comes to the OST. So yeah, there's that too. The music is great. Alright, so number 12 is Tales of Eternia, also called Tales of Destiny 2, which is, yeah, the other name for it. That was actually, it's confusing because Tales of Destiny 2 is a different game in Japan, but I call it Tales of Eternia just to separate it, because Tales of Destiny 2 is another game in Japan. But yeah, part of the Tales franchise. This came out in 2001. I like this better than Tales of Fantasia personally. I know Tales of Fantasia also came out for PS1, and that's only in Japan, by the way. And Tales of Destiny 1, of course, came out for PS1, but I like Tales of Eternia better than both, just personally. I like the story better, and the characters are a bit more memorable to me. They're all like pretty good games. But yeah, if I were to pick one Tales game for the PS1 that I would want to replay over, it'll be Tales of Eternia. Yeah, it's a nice game, and
got one.
yeah, Farah, this girl that you find that kind of crash landed on the planet. Yeah, actually, that's kind of familiar to any Tales of Grace's F players. You know,
Here we go again.
you see a purple-haired girl that crash landed on the planet, or just suddenly appeared, I should say, in the beginning of the game. Anyways, yeah, it's got the standard Tales presentation here. Battle system is very Tales, right? You have this side-scrolling style, side view perspective, I should say, with the semi-active battle system, or combat system. So that's your standard Tales combat right there. But I just personally prefer the story and the characters in Tales of Eternia a little bit more than Tales of Fantasia and Tales of Destiny 1. So, anyways, this is a personal preference thing. I have it in my top 15 here, Tales of Eternia. Number 11 is going to be Valkyrie Profile, which I think is the best Valkyrie Profile game out of the whole series. Came out in 2000, and it's made by the same developers as Star Ocean, so it's by Tri-Ace. So overall, very solid RPG as well. Of course, it takes place in a different setting, right? You have this Norse mythology with gods and Valkyries and everything, hence why the name Valkyrie Profile, right? You have a lot of Norse characters here, Freya, right? Yeah. But, you know, as soon as I played this game, it was pretty intriguing. Yeah, I think just the fact that the story can suck me in so easily and the characters can suck me in so easily, that's a sign of a good RPG right there. So, yeah, if anyone hasn't played Valkyrie Profile, I think Valkyrie Profile is not like, yeah, it's not like I like Azure Dreams or some of the other ones like Popola Claw, where like it's you know, almost very overlooked or criminally overlooked. So people do know about Valkyrie Profile, even if it isn't talked about as often as FF7, obviously, or FF9, but still great, solid RPG. So what can I say? Memorable characters. I like the characters in the story. Yeah, the whole story involving gods and stuff. And the combat, you guys notice the combat is kind of similar to the Tales combat and Star Ocean combat, and that might not be surprising, right? Because the same developers came from a Star Ocean background, and the developers of Star Ocean came from a Tales background, so maybe it's not so surprising the combat system is similar to those. So anyways, Valkyrie Profile, definitely my top 15. I enjoy playing this game a lot. Definitely wouldn't mind playing it again. I did play it again, actually, because I played Lenneth for the PSP. So I did play the enhanced version as well. But anyways, the footage you're seeing is the original PS1 version that I played. So yeah, Valkyrie Profile, just outside of my top 10. Alright, so number 10 on my list is Lunar Silver Story Complete, which came out in 1999 and is an enhanced version of the original Sega CD release. And yeah, this is I think people would play Lunar, right? Like it's a very charming RPG. I like both of the Lunar games. I like 2 a little bit better, and that one will be a little bit higher in this list. But the first one is still very good too. Got charming characters, a charming story. You're pretty like, yeah, a pretty typical JRPG combat system as well. But it's just overall all the aspects of this game combined together, and it's overall just very solid, I think. People might be surprised I have Lunar in my top 10. Actually, both the Lunar games in my top 10. Well, I'm just going, this is my list, so I'm just going based on how much I personally enjoy playing it. I enjoy playing both the Lunar games. They're great games. The PS1 version adds in these cutscenes. This game has been enhanced and remastered like several times. Like the PS1 version, and then there's a PSP version. There's a Game Boy Advance version as well, and then there's another upcoming remaster for the Nintendo Switch later this year. So it's gotten quite a few remasters. Of course, this is just the PS1 version I'm talking about in this video. But yeah, overall, I just find it very charming to play. Love how wholehearted the characters are. Right, a little flying cat comes along with you. The sprites, they don't look like these sprites look like they could be from the Super Nintendo era, and I think that's fine. That actually makes the age better. Like if we go back to Final Fantasy VII again, Final Fantasy VII is not aged well when it comes to the characters. Okay, like yeah, the characters just look horrible basically by today's standards, but go back to Lunar Silver Story. Yeah, the characters, like, they look great. I mean, nowadays, right, you've seen like the 16-bit 2D type sprites and stuff like that. They age really well compared to the 3D ones. So the graphics still age well and still holds up today. Gameplay-wise, a little bit dated, but still holds up today. Still very playable today. So, and that's why it's getting remastered. Actually, it's fairly popular. Not the most popular RPG on the system, of course, but it's fairly popular. I mean, there's like a Lunar fan base, right, that really likes these games, and
yeah, I like that there's no random encounters.
Yeah, count me in as one of them.
Right, so
I think that both the Lunar games are very charming. Yeah, again, second one I enjoyed a little bit more, but both of them are great. Just overall, I wouldn't say that anything about this game is like very groundbreaking, except for maybe the soundtrack and the animation. I think was groundbreaking for the Sega CD for the time, but on the PS1 not so groundbreaking. But still, it's just all the elements combined together to make just a very solid game. So, anyways, Lunar on my top 10. Okay, number 9 is Final Fantasy IX. Very appropriate, right? So this is actually the remaster version I'm playing on my channel, but the original released in 2000 for the PS1. It's considered by many to be one of the greatest Final Fantasy games. A lot of people have 7 above 9. I have 9 above 7. That's just a personal preference. I know, like, there's arguments either way. I personally have 9 above 7 though. I think that the 9 is just the more traditional Final Fantasy experience, and I prefer that. I know that Final Fantasy tends to be a series that experiments a lot, and people who are fans of that experimentation may like 7. But for me, I like the traditional Final Fantasy experience, and yeah, I just like 9 a little bit more. Character story and everything. Like, yeah, you can say that the graphics are almost like a downgrade from 7 because you know, characters are chibi style or whatever. Definitely a downgrade from 8, right? Final Fantasy 8, the graphics are like, you know, they're human proportion and everything, properly proportioned. But in 9, they go back to the chibi style. So, you know, some people don't like that. But for me, this is because it wants to be more of a traditional Final Fantasy experience. And it is the most traditional Final Fantasy experience on the PS1. So yeah, it's got classic characters, classic story, classic gameplay. If you guys liked the OG Final Fantasy games, the first 6 Final Fantasy games, you'll like Final Fantasy IX as well. And yeah, I do highly recommend it to anyone who's fans of the traditional Final Fantasy games. Like, I have a friend who really likes Final Fantasy VI, right? That's his favorite Final Fantasy game, is FF6. Well, if you think that FF6 is the greatest Final Fantasy game instead of 7, then you'll probably like 9 a bit more. So, yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. And if you didn't like 8, and a lot of people don't like Final Fantasy 8, which is very polarizing, then you might like 9, because 9 goes back to the roots. You know, it's a very different game than 8. You know, traditional combat system here for Final Fantasy. It's just a nice traditional throwback experience for Final Fantasy fans. So, anyways, Final Fantasy IX is going to be number 9 on my list. Okay, number 8 on my list is Breath of Fire 4, which came out in 2000. Breath of Fire 3 and 4 are both pretty close to me. I like 3 a little bit more, but it's just like, either way, you know, I think they're both very, very like close to each other. Breath of Fire 4 is still good, very good too. I think all the Breath of Fire games are actually really good. I'm surprised that Capcom did not remaster or re-release any of these. I know there's a lot of Breath of Fire fans that want these to be re-released for modern systems, and I don't know why they don't. Just release all 4, you know, somewhere. Yeah, we got Lunar remaster, we got a Suikoden remaster. Give us the Breath of Fires, man. Like, all the games in the series are pretty good. So anyways, number 4, I would consider to be the last in the real, like, traditional Breath of Fire games. I'm not counting the mobile games. So, yeah. What can I say? Breath of Fire 4, it's your classic Breath of Fire experience. You've got solid characters, memorable characters, and a memorable story. Yeah, overall, and it's got the traditional RPG experience. I would say that, like, all these games might, like Lunar and Breath of Fire, they're all pretty close to each other, honestly. Like, I like them all, like, pretty much the same amount, so it's hard to really, like, make an order for them. But anyways, I enjoyed playing Breath of Fire 4 a lot, definitely, which is why it's still actually both Breath of Fire 3 and 4, which is why it's in my top 10. So anyways, yeah, I would say that if you guys are just looking for just a very solid JRPG experience through and through, definitely check out Breath of Fire. Both of them on PS1. Both 3 and 4 are good. And the graphics are interesting because, like, they're kind of 3D, but I would say that they do contain, like, kind of a look of traditional sprites as well. So it's not like Final Fantasy 7 or 8, where it's like fully polygonal 3D. In the Breath of Fire games, it seems like they're going for 3D, but with, you know, like some kind of cell shading or something going on here. So it has aged better, I would say, than Final Fantasies 7 and 8 have. So anyways, yeah, Breath of Fire. Yeah, so I said that Breath of Fire 3 and 4 are pretty close, right? So I have Breath of Fire 3 coming up next at number 7 on my list. Yeah, I mean, it can go either way. They're both pretty good games, great RPGs for the system, both in my top 10.
What?
I just think that Breath of Fire 3, yeah, maybe it's the characters or the setting or whatever, just something about it, I just like the charm of Breath of Fire 3 a little bit more.
Vitamins.
But overall, it's the same thing, like I said, with Breath of Fire 4 as well. If you guys are looking for kind of more traditional JRPG experience from this era, then like any of the Lunar games or Star Ocean 2 or Breath of Fire 3 and 4, both solid. I mean, yeah, really comes down to preference here. Personally, Breath of Fire 3 lists a little bit more of Breath of Fire 4, but both good. Both good games. Yeah. Typical turn-based combat here.
So
they don't use the polygonal graphics very much in Breath of Fire 3. I think that might be a little bit that might be a reason why I prefer this one a little bit more, because they go a little bit lighter on the 3D graphics in Breath of Fire 3 compared to 4. Yeah, this one is... So the graphics in 3 aged a bit better, I think, compared to 4. Yeah, they're both good games. Just like, I think that their art style aged a bit better in 3. It's not quite as reliant on the 3D polygonal stuff. Right, you don't see as much of the 3D polygonal stuff as you do in 4. Yeah.
The empty piece of land.
But anyways, both solid games, characters, stories very very memorable, very colorful too. Alright, so number 6 is Lunar 2 Eternal Blue Complete, which came out in 2000. Again, this is an enhanced version of the original Lunar 2 for Sega CD. I like this one a little bit better than Lunar 1. Like, I think Lunar 1's a good game, as I said, but Lunar 2 just felt like the story and characters like resonated a bit better with me, maybe. I don't know. Like Lunar 1 actually got more remasters than Lunar 2 did. Lunar 2 did not get a PSP remaster like Lunar 1 did. So, anyways, it will be getting another remaster I think this year though on the Nintendo Switch. But yeah, I think Lunar 2 preferred it a little bit more, but it has much of the same charm as Lunar 1 does, right? It still has the charming characters and everything, and the sprites, right? The beautiful 2D pixelated colorful sprites that has that, character portraits and everything, the flying cat, that's all there. In this one you get to play as a very powerful character in the beginning, which is also very fun. Yeah, so overall this game really did suck me in. So like once I just started and I couldn't drop it actually. You know, that's a sign of a great RPG when you just you start playing it. You know, I'm doing this for my YouTube channel just kind of as a playthrough, and then yeah, I ended up just not being able to put this one down. Yeah, it's really cool. The monsters, I like the monster design actually a little bit better than in the first game as well. Yeah, so just a lot of small reasons why I prefer Lunar 2 over Lunar 1, right? Cutscenes here, you got because it's a PS1, right? You get the same nice quality cutscenes you get in the first game as well. And then you get to play as, I remember in the beginning you get to play this really powerful.
Do not interfere.
Yeah, and she just kills everything. Classroom. Bam. Lucia. Yeah, Lucia just kills everything.
She just killed them all in one hit.
Yeah, man, that's cool. Anyways, yeah, just everything a little bit, just liked it a little bit more than Lunar 1. With the characters and the story and yeah, just everything. I mean, maybe even the cutscenes or yeah, monster design a little bit better than Lunar 1. Anyways, yeah, so that's number 6. Number 5, my list is Star Ocean 2, or Star Ocean: The Second Story is the official name. Came out in 1999, and I consider this my favorite Star Ocean game. A lot of people like Till the End of Time, but I prefer the second one. And yeah, this is a game I like so much. I played it 3 times on my channel. That's right, I played because there's a few different enhancements and stuff. So the second story, this is the PS1 version that you're seeing right now, but I also replayed it, the PSP version, with Second Evolution, and then I replayed it again for the remake that came out in 2023, Second Story R. So yeah, what I like about it is just again, it's not just one thing, it's just the combination of everything, just like with Lunar. It's like you have these beautiful 2D graphics that aged really well compared to other PS1 3D games, right? So the 2D graphics ages well, and compared to Lunar, like these graphics like a little bit more, so Lunar graphics actually remind me more of Super Nintendo era. These graphics look like they're just peak PS1 2D sprites, or Sega Saturn, that kind of sprites. I just really love the sprite work around this era, I think. Like you combine sort of like the 3D background-ish with the 2D sprites. And that's something you see in Breath of Fire 3 as well, right? And Suikoden as well. So I just love this style of graphics. The characters are pretty memorable and charming. Either Claude or Rena. I usually choose to play as Rena here. But yeah, the story's memorable and everything. Of course, I enjoy the original Star Ocean as well. And Till the End of Time, I know that's a great game too. But Star Ocean 2, yeah, this is a game, again, I liked it so much I played it 3 times. So I don't generally replay games even once. So the fact that I replayed this twice tells you it's a pretty darn good RPG. So anyways, love the, just love everything about it. So that's why it's in my top 5. Alright, number 4 on my list is Brigandine: The Legend of Forcina, which came out in 1998, and some people might be surprised because they might not even know this game, because it's not really a well-known game. I only found out about it because someone in the RPG group I was in Facebook posted about it, decided to check it out, and it does have elements of Ogre Battle, so it's kind of like Ogre Battle in many ways, but it's probably even more tactical than Ogre Battle is. It's almost like, you know, like Civilization or Romance of Three Kingdoms, like that level of tactical. Yeah, so it can be pretty deep. So basically, you just you have a bunch of different armies, bunch of different monsters that you have in each of these different cities and stuff. And then you send them out to the other different cities. So it is pretty similar to Ogre Battle in that sense. But I think, in my opinion, a little bit even deeper than Ogre Battle is. If you guys haven't played Brigandine, I highly recommend it. There's a sequel out, Renertia, which isn't quite as good. I mean, I'm surprised they even had a sequel for the Switch, but yeah, I played Renertia. Renertia is good. It's not quite as good as Forcina though. So the original game, which is this one, Forcina, yeah, the difference, I would say, in fact, of the overview that you see here, the strategy part of the game, this is pretty similar to Ogre Battle, right? The combat is different. In Ogre Battle, you just have this isometric view where you just have a limited number of rounds that you can fight, right? And you reduce the other enemy's army. That's about it. Brigandine goes deeper than that with the combat because it's almost like a chessboard, and then it's like it becomes a tactical RPG. And then you have unlimited time. It's just, you know, this game takes a long time to play. Right? Each of those rounds can take a long time because you have all your armies here. You move them into tactical battle like a chessboard. Like in other tactical RPGs, and then each time they do battle, you see like a little sequence like that, right? Like you see like this sequence, like the one-on-one sequence, you see this. And you have all sorts of monsters and stuff that you can use. So overall, it's just like, wow, right? They put a ton of content into this game, a ton of gameplay into this game. Yeah, just the amount of gameplay, it's like, you can just, like hours and hours you can spend on a turn. It's like, yeah, just like Civilization or something, right? Or Romance of Three Kingdoms. You can spend hours and hours on a turn. So anyways, Brigandine. Very underrated. More people should play this game. If you love Ogre Battle, you'll definitely, or Master Monsters, you might like this game as well. So anyways, yeah, you might be surprised to see Brigandine so high on my list, but it is, because I love playing it. And it's a very unique entry. Don't know quite any other game like it. The Ogre Battle's the closest, but it's not exactly the same because the combat's different. Okay, number 3 is Xenogears, which came out in 1998. What I like about this game, let's talk about all the different cool things about this game. First of all, like the graphics, it's kind of this 3D but cel-shaded style. I would say similar to like Breath of Fire 4. We had the polygonal but cel-shaded, so it's like, yeah, it does kind of look aged, but not too much. Like, it still holds up pretty well, even if you look at it today. Really hope this game gets a remaster someday. This is the start of the Xeno franchise. People might know Xenosaga or Xenoblade, but Xenogears is the start of the Xeno franchise. Not sure if any of the Xeno games are actually connected, but they're all part of the same series. Yeah, not sure if they're connected or not. But yeah, basically, also, you get to play in this part of ancient China, which I think is also cool. So the setting, again, not explored very often. The main character is called Fei, obviously a Chinese name. So yeah, graphics-wise, aged pretty well, I think, even though it's kind of like semi-3D. I mean, the background is definitely 3D, so that's something. But I think it's still aged pretty well. Again, still aged way better than Final Fantasy 7 and 8 anyways. Aged better than Legend of Gaia. Those are like polygonal 3D games. And then the combat in this game is sort of like Legaia, but not quite as in depth as Legaia. But you still have like this combo system, which is pretty cool, right? Yeah. So you still have this combat combo system going on here, which isn't quite as in depth as Legaia is, but still good. Like, yeah, it's still unique. So Xenogears has that going for it as well. So the combat's pretty interesting, unique. That's not the only thing, because this game also has mechs. So not only do you get to you know, take out creatures and monsters by yourself, but you also get to take them out as a mech too. So that's also pretty cool. So there's a whole other aspect of this game which involves mechs, and the story, which is very emotional and everything. Yeah, I mean, the beginning of the game, you see pretty much a girl that you really like, or that you had feelings for, or actually she had feelings for you or something, but she gets wiped out in the beginning of the game. I mean, that's just brutal. Yeah. So yeah, Alice, right? Beginning of the game here. Yeah, Alice she just gets wiped out. I mean, it's crazy with the story going on. A lot of emotional stuff happens. And you got mechs, so you get the mech part of the game too. So yeah, overall this game has a lot of things going for it. Great story, emotional story, memorable characters, still holds up graphically wise, combo system, get to play as a mech and as a human. The only thing is, I know a lot of people have an issue with the second disc because the story wasn't completely finished, so it was kind of rushed. The second part of the game is not quite as good, but you know, that's really about it. Like, yeah, just I think a lot of people had issues with the second part of the game. But anyways, Xenogears, I think still an all-time RPG for me. Okay, number 2 is Final Fantasy Tactics, 1998. I alluded to this in my Tactics Ogre part of the video, but I prefer Final Fantasy Tactics just because it's set in the Final Fantasy world and everything, and thus the characters like resonate with me a bit more. I know that gameplay-wise, it's pretty much the same as Tactics Ogre, but just with like, yeah, in the Final Fantasy setting. But you know, that makes all the difference when it comes to story and characters, right? Yeah, so very memorable characters, a memorable story. A lot of people consider this the best Final Fantasy game on the system, as I do as well. It's better than, to me, it's better than 7, it's better than 9. Obviously better than 8. Yeah, that's the best Final Fantasy game on the system, and probably the best tactical RPG on the system, which is saying a lot. There's so many tactical games on the system. But yeah, like, nothing really bad to say about Final Fantasy Tactics. It's a great game. Yeah, like, oh yeah, I did say that Tactics Ogre came first, which it did. Tactics Ogre came out for the Super Nintendo first, then it got ported to the PS1. Yeah, so that means Final Fantasy Tactics did come out after Tactics Ogre and probably took the style from Tactics Ogre. I think it probably is the same developers too. Might can double check that, but I wouldn't be surprised if FF Tactics were the same developers as Tactics Ogre, because they're so similar. And yeah, you're pretty much set the standard for all the tactical JRPGs, isometric style. You can change jobs and everything, and level up and everything. Really set the standard for the isometric tactical RPG style. And really, it's just a gold standard. Like, I don't know what else to say. I played the remake or enhanced version. It's an enhanced version. I played the enhanced version of War of the Lions on the PSP as well. And I hope it gets a remaster and a remake, because Tactics Ogre got that with Ogre Reborn, right? Tactics Ogre Reborn. So that got a remake actually. So I think Final Fantasy Tactics deserves a remake too. Yeah, what can I say? It's an all-time great RPG, all-time great tactical game on the system, and yeah, number 2 on my list. Pretty close to number 1 actually. Okay, number 1. My favorite Japanese RPG on the PS1 is Suikoden 2, which got a remaster lately, and I'm very happy about that. Yeah, I'm glad it got remastered. I'm sorry, like the Euden 100 Heroes just did not match up to Suikoden. It just, yeah, it was a bit of a disappointment. But anyway, Suikoden 1 and 2 are both good. Suikoden 2 is the better game, I think. Came out in 1999. Yeah, and it's the whole story of Suikoden is kind of related to Outlaws of the Marsh, or Water Margin, the ancient Chinese novel. But what's great about Suikoden 2 is, yeah, characters are memorable, even though there's so many characters you can recruit in the game. But I'll always like be partial to these first two characters I'm playing as, my own character and then Jowery, because that's what I'm used to, like playing as these characters. But yeah, what can I say? Like the whole story, the characters and everything are very memorable. The art style still holds up because it's done in this 2D sprites on a 3D background style, the same way as Star Ocean 2 did it. So it's still aged very well. It's a beautiful looking game.
2 pairs of boots.
It's just, yeah, it's classic to me. So Suikoden 2, like when I played this, you know, couldn't put it down again. It was one of those games I can just keep on replaying. I don't mind replaying anytime. It's just that's how we know it's a great RPG. And the combat system is interesting. There's actually a few different perspectives. So when you have just facing like a group of enemies, then you get into like this combat system where it's kind of like this isometric style view. But then when you have a larger group of enemies, it looks different. So it's interesting to switch up the combat system depending, right? If you have a large group or a small group of enemies. Set in ancient China, again, not a very common setting, but I always appreciate games when they're in a different setting than usual. So that's cool. It sets in ancient China. Again, because you know it's based around the Chinese folktales and stuff. But yeah, what can I say? Suikoden 2. Not much to criticize about this game. This is great characters, great story, interesting combat system. Art style still holds up. Music still holds up. Very beautiful. Yeah, this Chinese-inspired music here. And yeah, just the fact you can recruit so many characters in this game. Yeah, it's yeah, ancient China setting, which, you know, a lot of games don't really utilize as much. Overall, all-time great RPG for me. So I'll always have Suikoden 2 as a sentimental favorite. So anyways, that's it, guys. Let me know what you guys think of my my list of top 30 PS1 JRPGs. Yeah, essentially all JRPGs. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree. I know I had Final Fantasy VII too low. I know there's games I didn't have on the list like Wild Arms, Legend of Dragoon. Yeah, like those. There's a bunch of games like Parasite Eve. Okay, some people might be asking about those games. Didn't quite make my list. I know that a lot of people love those games, but yeah, didn't quite make. A Vagrant Story, I played it. Didn't enjoy it quite as much as these games, and yeah, the same thing with Legend of Dragoon. I felt was a bit slow-paced. And Wild Arms, I just felt was pretty mid. What else? Kodelica is just okay. Parasite Eve, just okay. Didn't feel like it was like... Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of RPGs you guys might be wondering not on this list. But anyways, this is my list. FF7's low for people, I know. But anyways, if you guys agree or disagree, let me know. As always, thanks for watching.